St. Louis Cardinals take Game 2 in Miami and have clinched a series win behind some incredible pitching as well as some late-game heroics by Nolan Arenado, breaking down the game yesterday as well as asking the question, would you still make the Marcell Ozuna trade with all the information we have now, as well as breaking down expectations as Jordan Hicks gets his first start of the year in tonight's matchup as the Cardinals go for the series sweep on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Cardinals for Thursday, April the 21st of 2022. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen of the day, each and every day, Monday to Friday, as we are in season. It's somewhat still hard to believe that baseball is still back, but nevertheless, I am Lucas Smith, host of the show. Thanks for tuning in today and each and every day that you tune in. If you're looking for a follow on Twitter, you can follow me at LJ Fastball. Follow the show on Twitter at LO_Cardinals as well as on Instagram for all of your Locked On Cardinals content. If you are wondering what today's title sponsor is, it is Blue Nile. This Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On MLB listeners will get $50 off $500. Use code Locked On and check out more about Blue Nile coming up later in the show. But we're going to start with some baseball talk because the St. Louis Cardinals, as I mentioned, took Game 2 of the three-game series against Miami yesterday, as it was a pretty dominant performance by all Cardinal pitchers, as they kind of used Johnny Holstaff, if you will. Miles Mikolas getting the start yesterday. He was solid. Talking about all the pitching that was going on yesterday. Nolan Arenado as well, playing the big hero late in the game. And then in segment 2, kind of asking an interesting question. We'll look at stats of, what players were involved in the Marcell Ozuna trade, as we got to see Sandy Alcantara pitch against the St. Louis Cardinals once again. Not the first time that's happened since he was traded away to the Fish, but still an interesting question nonetheless to discuss. Would you make that trade again? So we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then we'll talk about Jordan Hicks as well. But game yesterday was about as solid as you can ask for. 2-0, especially from the pitching perspective. 2-0, Marlins only getting 5 hits. 2 walks were issued by the Cardinal pitching staff. One by Magnus Cabrera, one by Giovanny Gallegos in a stressful and eventful ninth. I find it ironic that yesterday I talked about how much of a sense of calm and a sense of confidence that you have when Giovanny Gallegos comes into the game and then he bends but doesn't break. And yesterday's contest, striking out 2 and getting the final out on a forced out at second base. But Mikolas was solid. 86 innings. He pitched 5+ innings. He gave up a leadoff hit in that 6th inning before Andre Pallante came in, and he struck out 3 in 2 innings, so he was phenomenal. But Mikolas was able to just be efficient. 86 pitches, 5 innings, not terrible. Maybe you'd like to see him go another inning or so, but I'm okay with Ali Marmol being aggressive. I know that you have a lot of baseball games coming up here in a short time. Next off day isn't for another couple weeks, but at the same time, this bullpen is rolling. Keep using it. And it's not, again, I feel like I've talked about this every day this week. The reason that I think Marmol has the ability to keep using his bullpen, maybe more so than Mike Shildt did last year, is because of the fact that Marmol has more than just 3 options he can go to. You go to Polante, you go to Cabrera, you go to Gallegos, you go to Helsley. You have so many options in this bullpen. A struggling piece right now might be Drew Verhagen, but you also have Jake Woodford you can go to as a long man. You've got TJ McFarland. You have a plethora of options that so far in the early going, and yes, I recognize that it is the very early going still of the season, you have options out of this bullpen, so keep riding the hot hand, which is, right now, most of the bullpen. But for Miles Mikolas, it was just another impressive start. It was another step in the right direction. He was phenomenal against Milwaukee last Friday, against the division favorite Milwaukee Brewers, and then now he goes out and pitches well against the Miami Marlins. In that start against the Milwaukee, 6 2/3, 3 hits, a run, a walk on 7 strikeouts. And then now, against Miami, 5 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 punch-outs. So to start the young season in 3 starts, he's got 1 not great one, 1 really, really good one, 1 solid one. Those are That's a pretty good way to start a season, especially for somebody like Mikolas. 15 and a third innings in those 3 starts, 3 earned runs, just 3 walks. That's impressive. The whip down to 1.04. Just 1 win in those 3 starts, but again, wins don't mean as much as they used to. And the ERA sits right now at 1.76 for Mikolas. Setting the tone. That's what the starter has to do. Set the tone. Mikolas was doing just that, setting the tone, and he was able to go out there and kind of feed off the energy, and he matched zeros. Castano Alcantara is an ace, especially for this Miami Marlins team, which has a ton of pitching, and we're going to see more of that pitching tonight between the Cardinals and Marlins with Pablo Lopez on the mound. We'll talk about him in segment number 3. So for Castano Alcantara to be considered, at least from my outside perspective, to be considered the ace of the Marlins staff, and for the Cardinals to do what they did against Castano Alcantara, for Mikolas to match Castano Alcantara in matching zeros, that's a very quality start for Mikolas, because if you ask around the league, most people probably aren't considering Mikolas as an ace of the Cardinals staff, because he's not. But when you go, my point is that when you go up against an ace like Castano Alcantara, who's putting up zeros and is just straight filthy after an eventful first inning, Cardinals getting the first 2 men to reach and then stranding those 2 runners, Alcantara settled in. Mikolas was able to match zeros and keep his team in the game. Even if you would have given up just a run or 2, you're still keeping your team in the game at a pretty good measure there. But Mikolas went above and beyond and just pitched zeros. Everybody pitched zeros yesterday too. I mentioned Andre Pallante. He was downright filthy yesterday. He had a couple of cutters, 94 mile an hour with some tail to it. In his 2 scoreless innings of work, he gave up no hits, no runs, no walks, and he struck out 3. He looked really solid yesterday. Somebody that I don't think a lot of people, myself anyways included, a lot of people thought, not a lot of people probably would have thought that he was going to be a key part in this bullpen. And yesterday, he really saved the bullpen after Mikolas goes 5 innings. And he's having a nice start to his year as well, giving up just 1 earned run in 5 innings. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 4 hits on the young season. But in 2 of the 3 appearances for Pallante, he's been able to go 2 innings. He's been able to be kind of a long man in the bullpen. After a very impressive spring, he earned his role. So again, Pallante is just another guy in the mix, another guy in the fold that is an option for Ali Marmol. Options are good. Cardinals have a plethora of them in the bullpen right now, Pallante being one of them. Going to be really exciting to see what Pallante can do. And it's going to be exciting as well to see, or not exciting, it'll be interesting rather. Sorry, mixed up my words there. It's going to be interesting to see if and when the league adjusts to him, how is he going to adjust back? Right? Because everybody's got to make adjustments constantly. There's going to be enough video on him eventually that the league is going to adjust. But so far, Pallante has just impressed coming out. And then after Pallante, Cabrera came in. He pitched a scoreless 8th inning. Did walk 1, also struck out 1 as he was credited with the win. Matching zeros. That's exactly what the Cardinals did yesterday. Got the same amount of hits as the Marlins. 1 happened to leave the ball yard for Arenado. But you look at it, the Cardinals left 4 runners on base. The Miami Marlins stranded 8 runners on base. Neither team had a hit with runners in scoring position yesterday. Yesterday was about who was going to score last. Arguably, who's going to last or first. You can go whichever route you want to go. Cardinals scored first and last, as the Marlins didn't score at all. Gallegos gets credited for his 3rd save. Again, he struck out 2 in the 9th, gave up a hit and a walk. So there were, tying run was on base, winning run at the plate, and he was able to come through. It was just matching zeros inning after inning, and it was impressive from the Cardinals standpoint. And then Nolan Arenado played hero. When you look at the stat line, when somebody goes 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, you're usually not thinking too much about him. But Nolan Arenado went 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts and a clutch 2-run home run in the 9th inning after Castano Alcantara had been removed. After 98 pitches in 8 innings, he went 8 innings, 4 hits, a walk, and 6 punch-outs. Gave way to Anthony Bender. And Nolan Arenado absolutely turned around a 98-mile-an-hour fastball in the inside corner. Jorge Soler almost brought it back, but was unable to do so. Baseball oftentimes is about flushing the memory, getting rid of what just happened, and moving on. Nolan Arenado could have easily gone, this is just not my day. Got 3 strikeouts, just going to put the ball in play, see if I can't keep the line moving and get somebody else up here. But he didn't. He said, I'm going to attack this. I'm going to try and do what I can to help my team win. And he ended up, as I mentioned a couple times already, playing hero. 2-run shot in the top of the ninth. Just escapes over the left field wall. 3 outs later, the Cardinals have a Redbird winner. Love John Rooney's Redbird winner call. All in all, just, again, another team effort. Because Nolan Arenado starting to come back down to earth just a little bit. I mean, his average has dipped down to 368. His OPS is still at 1337, so that's just absolutely remarkable. But even when he struggles, he has a difference-making type of game. Not a lot of highly offensive performances to talk about. Molina and Bader both got hits yesterday, so you like to see that. And Tommy Edman, who was put at the top of the lineup, 2 for 4. After a little bit of a slow start, Edman starting to find it just a little bit. But that home run by Nolan Arenado was the only extra base hit in the entire game. I think that means that Nolan Arenado made a difference in the game. Had a little bit of an impact. So one last note on Miles Mikolas on the pitching side of things before I got to move on. I am running a little bit long in this segment, but just a lot of fun to talk about, and I want to spend a little time talking about the Ozuna trade. What's key for a Cardinal pitching? What have I talked about from day -1, from day 0? What is important for this Cardinal pitching staff? Keep the ball on the ground, get groundouts. According to MLB.com box score, Miles Mikolas, 8 groundouts, no flyouts. Andre Pallante, 3 groundouts, no flyouts. Cabrera and Gallegos got a groundout each. That is the definition of keeping the ball on the ground. It's exactly what Cardinal pitching needs to do. Theodore Alcantara was great yesterday, but it also got me thinking, what if? What if he was still a St. Louis Cardinal? So it has me looking back at the trade between the Cardinals and the Marlins as to what sent Alcantara to Miami. I'll break it down, and I ask the question, would you still make that trade today? Talk about that coming up in a minute. But I mentioned at the top, the title sponsor today is Blue Nile. So I want to tell you about BlueNile.com, the original online jeweler. If you're looking to get engaged, it's a great spot, as well as with Mother's Day around the corner. You can give mom the jewelry gift that she prefers. Whether she prefers a statement piece or everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom for this Mother's Day. You can shop high-quality classic diamond earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces. Looking for jewelry but having trouble choosing as well? No problem. Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7 to help you out. They are available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every single budget. So mark Mother's Day with something enduring. A classic diamond stud, earring piece, elegant tennis bracelets, birthstone pendants, and so much more, all at BlueNile.com. Celebrating the special woman in your life as well? BlueNile.com can easily navigate thousands of fine jewelry options at every single price point. Mother's Day gift mom. This Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. Locked On MLB listeners will get $50 off a $500 purchase. This is a podcast exclusive deal, only good through Mother's Day, so hurry up. Use promo code LOCKED ON, LOCKEDON, Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Marcell Ozuna was a Cardinal for 2 years. I wouldn't go as far to say he was a polarizing figure, but definitely a couple of takes on him and his Cardinal tenure. Because in his Cardinal tenure, which lasted from 2017 to 2018, 2019. He hit 52 home runs, 23 and 29 each year, respectively. Hit 262, got an on-base clip of 327. He slugged 451 in that time. 39 doubles in those 2 seasons. OPS plus of 107, OPS of 777. So some good, some bad there with Marcell Ozuna. At the time, it was an impact move, because Marcell Ozuna was coming off his career year outside of 2020, now that we have hindsight, right? Because in 2017, he was an all-star, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, 15th in the MVP voting, hit 312, on base of 376, had an OPS of 924, an OPS plus of 149, 37 home runs, 124 RBIs. Both of those career highs for Marcell Ozuna. It's not even close on RBIs. No other year has he even broke 100. No other year has he even broke 30 home runs either. He got 29 for the Cardinals in 19. So 2 decent years for Marcell Ozuna for the St. Louis Cardinals. Decent. He made the postseason in 2019. He was one of the Cardinals' best hitters that year. No award, no anything really for Ozuna in 18 or 19. And this is what the Cardinals had to give up to get Marcell Ozuna. Zach Gallen, who is now with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Sandy Alcantara, who we just talked about. Magnus Sierra, who was fast as lightning at the time. And then a name that's kind of forgotten in that trade, Daniel Castano. So let's look at each one and what they've done with Miami. Well, first, we'll go to Castano, who is still pitching in the major leagues. He pitched in the major leagues for Miami in parts of 3 seasons. In 2020, COVID year, first year, had a 3.03 ERA and 29 2/3 7 inning. His ERA plus was phenomenal at 151. His FIP was a little high at 4.81. His WHIP was 1.38. Last season, 20 and 1/3 of an inning. His ERA plus dipped to 88. FIP was above 5. ERA 4.87. Nothing too spectacular. In 2 innings this year, scoreless baseball, 4 hits and 2 strikeouts. Too early to tell this season, right? So not terrible for Castano, or for Castano, excuse me. But again, he wasn't really the big of the trade. Wasn't one of the big 3 pieces, I should say, in terms of who went from St. Louis to Miami. So we'll start with Magnus Sierra, who just played, who did play parts of 4 seasons with Miami. With the Cardinals, people forget in 2017, in just 22 games, he was 19 for 60. That's 317 batting average, an on base of 359, an on base percentage of 359, excuse me, only slugged 317, so his OPS was 676, so that's not great. His best year, really hasn't had a full year except for last season when he played in 123 games, but his best statistical year was a 15-game stint in 2019. He was 14 for 40. That's a 350 batting average, 381 on base, 425 slugging. But anyways, didn't really have a great full season with the Miami Marlins, and now he is in the minor leagues with the Los Angeles Angels. So he hasn't panned out quite yet. Still just 26, still got some time to figure things out, but the power just really never developed. Didn't hit a single home run in 5 seasons, 233 games. Did have 3 triples across that time and 13 doubles, but a 278 slugging percentage really isn't going to cut it in today's Major League Baseball. And then you look at Sandy Alcantara for the Miami Marlins. He led the league in losses in 2019, but he was also an all-star for the Miami Marlins. Last season, led the league in games started with 33, 205 and 2/3 of an inning. He was 9 and 15, but that's in large part due to the Marlins just not giving him any run support, as we talked about with the crossover. Had an ERA plus of 132 last year. Really good. Fielding independent pitching, 3.42. Fielding independent pitching this year is 3.44. 213 the ERA plus, 1.86 the ERA. 3 starts, he's 1-0. A great start for Alcantara, right? So now we move over to Zach Gallen. What has he done? Well, he's not on the Marlins right now either, as he's been since traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Put up some pretty good numbers. I mean, he was 9th in the Cy Young Award voting for Arizona in 2020. But for Miami, he only pitched 7 games for Miami. In 2019, he was 1-3, but had a 2.72 ERA. That for the Miami Marlins, 36 and a third innings pitched. That was a lot of stats just kind of thrown together, right? The main point that I want to get to, would you make this? Let me know in the YouTube comment section below, or you can email lockedoncards@gmail.com. You can DM on Twitter at LJFastball, or you can you can DM LO_Cardinals on Twitter or Instagram as well. Do whatever you like. I want to know your thoughts. But I'm telling you right now, Sandy Alcantara and Zach Gallen would both look pretty nice in this rotation right about now. Again, we've had a couple nice turns through the rotation for a couple different guys, but you have to balance the fact that would you rather have those 2 in your rotation for still a couple of years? Alcantara just signed a contract extension to eat up his arbitration years and survive without Marcell Ozuna for 2 years. Or would you still make the trade today? I honestly, as much as I did like Ozuna and his tenure on the baseball field for St. Louis, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on this trade again, knowing what we know now. In the moment, I had no qualms with the trade, no problems with it. But knowing what we know now with how good Alcantara has turned out to be to date, how good Zach Gallen has been in the past, especially with Marcell Ozuna's off-the-field issues that didn't come to light until after he had left for Atlanta. And again, I was somebody that wanted the Cardinals to bring Ozuna back before he signed with Atlanta. But now, knowing what we know, with everything in mind, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on this trade again from a Cardinals standpoint. And again, I recognize that he had 2 average to above average years with St. Louis. He was one of the Cardinals' best hitters in the 2019 postseason, especially in the division series. But big picture, long term, like I mentioned, Alcantara and Gallen would be pretty nice in this rotation right about now. So let me know what you think. Comment, DM, email, yell, something. Let me know what you think. I want to know what you think on if you'd pull the trigger on Ozuna or not. Now, with the information we have now. But looking at tonight, looking at the starting rotation for tonight, Jordan Hicks finally will get a start for the St. Louis Cardinals. 5:40 the Central Time, the first pitch between the Marlins and the Cardinals. Jordan Hicks getting the ball. Really excited to see what he can do in his first start of the season after a couple of longer relief outings. So we're talking Jordan Hicks coming up here in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about BetOnline.net and how it is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info this season. For all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, go to BetOnline, and including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of Major League Baseball season. I know that the Bulls had a big upset last night at Milwaukee, so if you bet on the Bulls, you probably won some money. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sport wagering information, whether you want to do live betting, playoffs, esports, and more. Go to the website to find all the ways to win some money. Head to the website today or use your mobile device. You can also learn about the trends and action in the sporting world. BetOnline is where the game starts. Jordan Hicks versus Pablo Lopez tonight. Runs will, at least from the Cardinals' perspective, will still probably be at a premium tonight with Pablo Lopez on the mound. But Jordan Hicks is making a start. I think from the Cardinals' perspective, that's the story. In his 2 games so far, the 12th against Kansas City, 2 scoreless innings. He was credited with the win there. Walked 1, struck out 2. Gave up an unearned run against Milwaukee in his last appearance. Also 2 innings. Gave up a hit, walked 1, and struck out 3. But this is his first start at the major league level. 73 games in relief in 2018, 29 games in relief in 2019, 10 games in relief in 2021, did not pitch in 2020, and 2 games of relief so far this season. And you go to the minor leagues, Jordan Hicks starting versus relieving. He started 3 games at Memphis in 2019, or 2021, excuse me. But before that, his last start came in 2017 at the full A level at the time with Peoria. So he has not started full-time in a very long time. Came up as a starter in 2016. I really don't expect Hicks to be able to go 6, 7, 8 innings. But I would like to see Hicks go 3 to 4. I think 3 to 4 is a good expectation for Jordan Hicks. 5 probably being the max, depending on how his pitch count is. I haven't seen any reports on what his pitch count will be, so we'll see. We'll see how long he's able to go. But I'm just excited to see him being stretched out. And even if he only does go 2 innings, it's not a loss. After him, we'll probably see Jake Woodford, maybe Drew Verhagen to piggyback off of Jordan Hicks, for lack of a better phrase, because we're probably going to see a couple of long relief appearances tonight after Hicks, if all goes according to plan, especially with, you're probably not going to see Giovanny Gallegos for a 3rd consecutive night. You're not going to see Andre Pallante tonight, as you went 2 innings yesterday, like we talked about. But I expect Hicks to perform well. He's performed very well in his first 2 appearances, like I've talked about. Again, I think anywhere from 3 to 4 innings would be a good expectation. 5 innings would be exceeding my expectations, and that would be phenomenal. 0 to 3 runs, keep the Cardinals in the game against Pablo Lopez, because Pablo Lopez is off to a very nice start. 1-0 with a .870 ERA so far on the young season. Just 8 punch-outs for Lopez, but this is somebody that 26-year-old right-hander, just 2 starts, 10 in the 3rd innings on the season for Lopez. Runs could be at a premium for the Cardinals tonight, as it could be tough to score off of Lopez, but expectations are pretty high, I think, in terms of, like I said, not necessarily innings, but in terms of how can Hicks perform. How's it going to look, right? Because he's not going to be able to probably go 80 to 90 pitches. Might only be able to go 60 to 70, right? So however long he goes, Yes, the innings matter, but I'm more so looking at how he is able to use his pitch count effectively. Whether it's 50, 60, 70, I don't think it's going to get that high up to 80, 90, but whatever his pitch count is, be effective with it and be sharp. That's what I'm looking for tonight, more so than, we need Hicks to go 7. It would be nice for Hicks to go 6, right? Innings, expectations, I mentioned it, 2 to 4 would be nice. 5 would be the max that I would expect from him. But I'm more so concerned with how he looks versus how long he's able to last in the game. What are you looking for? Got a couple questions for you. Comment on the YouTube if you're watching, or to DM on Twitter at LJFastball, or the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Cardinals, or email lockedoncards@gmail.com. Plenty of ways to reach me, plenty of ways to interact. I want to know your thoughts on Cardinal baseball this season. Jordan Hicks should be fun to watch tonight. Hopefully he impresses and the Cardinals can earn a sweep in Miami. But at the minimum, at least, Cardinals have a series win. And in baseball, that's, in my opinion, one of the more important aspects of baseball is being able to win series. The Cardinals have secured themselves at least a series win here in Miami before they move on from the Fish and go on to their next series against the Cincinnati Reds, this weekend in Cincinnati. First time they'll play the Red Legs this season. So tomorrow we'll be talking about what Jordan Hicks did tonight, as well as what the offense did against Pablo Lopez. We'll also be previewing the Cincinnati Reds series that I just alluded to. So thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen of the day. Be sure to make Locked On MLB with your pal Sully your second listen of the day, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys tomorrow about what Jordan Hicks did, as well as what the Cardinals will be looking forward to in Cincinnati this weekend. So until I talk to you guys tomorrow, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.